Here to talk about guns and public safety here at the Capitol, we have Representative Michael Paymar. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Representative Paymar, I want to begin with the hearing, and essentially it was to try to bring some public testimony to legislators and those who are on this commission. Did you hear anything that resonated with you as far as possible recommendations?
Well, I think that this has been an ongoing issue that this committee has discussed. It's not just been about firearms. We're responsible for making recommendations to the legislature on public safety for the entire Capitol complex. So we've discussed metal detectors in the past. We've discussed some of the safety or risk areas here at the Capitol, and firearms happens to be one of them. And I thought it was quite enlightening to see what kind of lax policy we have relative to people carrying firearms in the Capitol. I thought that that was an interesting observation that was made, and it is probably something that the legislature should be looking at relative to a statutory change in the next session. But it's going to be up to this committee to make those recommendations to the legislature.
And looking a little bit ahead, you talked about potentially changing the laws. You did ask Public Safety Commissioner Ramona Dolman about her opinion on the current policy of those who want to bring firearms to the Capitol. Current law requires that notification to the Commissioner of Public Safety take place for anybody who does want to bring in a gun. She said that there's really no verification mechanism in place. Do you think that the legislature should move forward in this area, or do you think that the current policy is good enough?
Well, first of all, my personal opinion, and I've made this clear, is I don't think guns should be brought into the Capitol. I think we're one of, it's hard to get the exact number, but one of 8 or 10 states nationally that actually allow firearms into the Capitol. So I don't think we should be bringing firearms into the Capitol. But having said that, if that is going to be the policy, then I think what we need to do is to make sure that whatever policies we have are enhancing public safety. And the current policy says that all you have to do is notify the Commissioner of Public Safety and say that I intend to bring a firearm into the Capitol. And you can bring that firearm into the Capitol in perpetuity. There's no one checking to make sure that you have a concealed carry permit, that you've gotten any training. And to me, that's a huge gaping hole in the process that needs to be fixed.
During the hearing, you brought up the point of expectations, essentially expectations of those who do carry firearms. What is your expectation of those who do have a permit to carry?
Well, again, I don't think they should be allowed to bring firearms into the Capitol. Well, I think that that's the myth out there, and that's what I was trying to expose today at the hearing, is that Representative Woodard, who's a member of the committee, at our last meeting said that we actually have less of a threat due to the fact that these folks are carrying firearms into the Capitol. And the head of this gun owners civil rights group, he made that comment to the press that we're actually safer because they're armed. And so my questioning was what if somebody were to, a law-abiding citizen became non-law-abiding and decided that they wanted to harm somebody? Is there an expectation that the people who have a concealed carry permit can act as a police officer, get up and take deadly force against that person? And I think that the answer to that question was no, they do not have the right to do that. They have the right to protect themselves, and they have the right to protect themselves in their own household. But they, at least from the testimony today, do not have the right to shoot somebody who might be causing imminent bodily harm to another person. So that was the point of the conversation, as they say, you know, we're all safer because of them carrying, when, as a matter of fact, they really should not be using a firearm. And if they did, I would hazard to guess there would be pandemonium in a hearing room like that if somebody did bring out a firearm. And I want to say this too. If you look at the Senate chambers and the House chambers, you know, there's a huge vulnerability there where anybody can sit in those galleries. whether they're carrying or not, whether they have a permit or not. And I think there's a lot of safety issues in this Capitol that we should be addressing.
So one person did suggest that perhaps guns be banned in the House and Senate chambers and hearing rooms. Is that a possible compromise, in your opinion?
Well, I certainly think that would be a step in the right direction. I mean, the fact that certain legislators carry firearms on the House and Senate floor doesn't make me feel any safer. Again, if you look at the galleries of those two chambers, I think that there's some risk factors there that should be considered. So, and as a chairman of a committee, I would like the ability to say that my committee rooms, you know, guns aren't allowed. Check them at the door. If we're going to be the Wild West, we might as well use that language.
Representative Paymar, I do want to ask you, Major Bob Meyerson with the Minnesota State Patrol did testify that there hasn't been any kind of a problem or violation of this law to his knowledge. So given that, do you think these hearings are looking for solutions to something that isn't necessarily a problem right now?
Well, first of all, I think it's fairly obvious from his testimony that they don't check people. I mean, they check people only who they can actually see are carrying a firearm, like in a holster. They'll check to see if that person has a valid permit. But if it's a concealed gun, they have no reason, and it's not their policy to ask somebody whether they're carrying or not. So they don't know. That's number one. Number two is that I think that that's a mistake, especially a committee that's constructed to look at public safety. I think it's a mistake to say, well, we haven't had an incident now, so let's just let everything go the way it is. I think the governor's mistaken to take that view also. I would, you know, there was a case just out in Pennsylvania where someone came in and shot out a government building and killed somebody. I mean, it's not like these things don't happen. It's not like we haven't had massacres with firearms across the country. So to say because we haven't had a shooting at the Capitol that we shouldn't be looking at tightening on policies, to me is short-sighted. And you know, I'd hate to be the legislator or committee member who said, well, you know, there's no problem, and have something happen here and then have to answer to the public when we had a fair amount of public and professional recommendations that there are security problems in this Capitol.
Okay, Representative Michael Paymar, unfortunately we are out of time. We will track this committee though as they make their recommendations and perhaps get you on at that time as well.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.